Governor Ron DeSantis officially launches his bid for the Republican presidential nomination.
All right, here with a look at how things stand heading into next year's election. Fox 5 political analyst Charles Chamberlain is here. Good morning, always good to see you.
Good morning, Charlie.
So Governor DeSantis announces he's running for president on Twitter, and there were some issues with that.
Some big issues.
Okay, so we can talk about, do the issues have an impact on this announcement, and then also how much social media is playing a part in this?
Oh yeah, social media obviously is a big part of politics now. But as far as the mishap, I don't think it's really going to play that much into this
What
whole
happened
thing.
for anybody that didn't watch it?
Well, it took 20 minutes for the whole thing to get started. It was on a new platform within Twitter called Twitter Spaces, hosted by Elon Musk himself. And they just couldn't get it together. There was noise in the background. People were talking in the background. It took them a while to get started. And it just kind of was a little bit of a kerfuffle. So, but eventually they got underway.
A kerfuffle.
Kerfuffle.
Never heard of the kerfuffle.
You come up with interesting words when you're on TV.
You mentioned noise in the background. There's a lot of noise overall with the campaigning and everybody involved so far. What does it mean to have Elon Musk basically doing this with Ron DeSantis? And where is he now in the race, Mr. DeSantis? Because when you look at some of the polling numbers already out, like, what's going on? He seemed like 6 months ago he was stronger than he is now.
Yeah, well, I'm going to attack the Elon Musk kind of thing first. One, it's really a two-sided coin to this. One, he's really sticking the finger in the eye of Trump, who is no longer really on Twitter. He's got his own Truth social media platform. The other part of it is that there are a lot of conservatives flocking to Twitter. And Elon Musk is starting to really generate a conservative following. So tapping into that conservative base and sticking his finger in the eye a little bit of Trump there is a really good thing for him. As far as numbers, he's running second in the pack. I was looking at some numbers this morning. Trump is still riding high. He's around 50%. Ron DeSantis is the next highest candidate, and this is from an aggregate poll, around 21%.
Right.
So would you say then, based on these numbers, he would be the toughest competition for the former president?
Right now, for sure.
For sure, right now.
Right now, Trump
But in the long run?
Trump is his own kind of worst enemy. Like he's fighting himself right now. I mean, he's 30 points higher than anyone else. But the next highest, for sure, Ron DeSantis, and every other candidate in the GOP race is taking notice, or they're taking swings at him because they think it's easier to swing at Ron DeSantis than it is to take a swing at Trump.
We're still about, 16, 17 months away from Election Day. It's going to be a long 16 or 17 months based on what we're seeing already. But explain what has happened, because Trump and DeSantis were buddies. And now Trump sees, now you're coming for my job. What is that relationship like right now? And what's that going to mean moving forward for the Republican Party, for the Republican nomination?
Well, DeSantis was seeking Trump's endorsement when he was running for governor. And the guy has a stellar resume. I mean, he's a Navy veteran, went to Yale undergrad, Harvard Law School. He even was a Little League champion. And that's how he kind of got a baseball scholarship to Yale. Trump tweeted this out saying that he's a wonderful candidate. And DeSantis, actually, his claim to fame was a commercial in Florida when he was running for governor, reading Trump's Art of the Deal to his kids. So there is really this really nice relationship, but a couple years later, he's governor, he's running very successful. Trump is running to some issues, obviously, with his lawsuits. DeSantis sees himself as a guy that can kind of step in where Trump has faltered a bit, and now he's a threat. And you don't want to be a threat to President Trump.
No.
You say he's a threat. I have a few friends that live in Florida, and some of the things the governor has done, policies that he's put forth over his time there, has been controversial. So how does what he does in Florida, if he were to win this, and he has to sell it to the entire United States, would work for everyone outside of Florida?
Well, that's exactly what he's doing. He's saying, let's make America Florida. And, we'll see whether or not it plays. Obviously, some of those policies that he's pushed in Florida, whether it's the quote-unquote don't say gay bill, or it's some of his, he's railing against CRT, or the changing of education. for kids in Florida, which a lot of parents are for. They don't want to see their kids being indoctrinated with certain policies.
Sure.
We'll see if that plays at a larger scale.
He did an interview on Fox News, and he said something that kind of intrigued me, where he says he wants to get the country back to, quote, normalcy. To which I wonder, well, a good follow-up question to that would have been, well, what does that mean? And what is normal? And that is so subjective, and what is your view of normal? So to me, what does Ron DeSantis' view of normalcy mean?
I'm going to take a step away from right now, and what you're asking is what I wish everyone would ask in politics. Because when you're in politics, and I was a political spokesperson for so many years, you speak in these generic terms. Because you don't want to play to the left, you don't want to play to the right, you want to play to everyone. But that's what everyone has to ask, is what do these things really mean on both sides?
Yeah. What is normal? Anyway, let's talk about Tim Scott. He also announced this week, Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina. You see a lot, Nikki Haley and everyone else, they're running in low single digits. And can any of them make a run? Can anything happen in the next year and a half that would make an impact? Does Tim Scott have a chance legitimately?
Anything is possible. They're all running below 5%.
Right.
But it's really going to come down to some of these debates. It's going to come down to what happens along the way. Look, Trump is by and far the leading candidate, but he's got 4 major lawsuits that are happening across the board in Georgia, New York, federally, New York City. So,
that's not affecting anything. He's still at 53%, 55%, 58%, depending on.
But who knows if someone actually really gets to the heart of him as a candidate and really creates a problem.
Wow.
Yeah, he got a lot on his plate. Speaking a lot on the plate on the other side, President Biden also involved in the negotiations for the debt ceiling, and time is running out. Charles, what's going to happen?
I think there's going to be some sort of a compromise. Look, this happens all the time. It's political Groundhog Day and it's new news, but it's kind of the equivalent of whenever there's a new political character that's in charge or in charge of one of the facets of Congress, it's like when your boss is gone, a new boss comes and you ask for a raise, right? In this case, Republicans ask for less money. We're used to this happening. It happens all the time. I think that they're going to come to a deal. They realize the stakes of America going from AAA rating to a AA rating, how that affects loans, how it affects our ability to trade with some of our partners. So they're going to get a deal done.
I tell you what, I feel like now that DeSantis is officially in, now the fun begins, and it's going to be an interesting year and a half leading up to Election Day.
For sure. It was the worst secret ever.
By the way, I found it interesting that when he made his own announcement, he said his name, and we talked about this he says Ron DeSantis. Nobody else says DeSantis, except everybo's saying DeSantis.
He hasn't corrected
I like
anyone,
pronunciation.
But now it makes sense to me that he said as a kid he liked to be called D.
DeSantis. But everybody says DeSantis. I'll get to the bottom of that next time. Charles Chamberlain, we thank you as always for the expertise.
Thank you. Good to see you.